What's up, guys? Church Gains here. So, patch 6.0.3 has officially been released. There have been a lot of changes all across the board to a lot of classes, as you probably know if you're still playing the game. I started playing late Burning Crusade. I made this shaman at the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King. I fell in love with it, leveled as Elemental, and when I hit level 80, I was just way too frustrated with Elemental, so I switched to Enhance, and I fell in love with Enhance, and I've been playing Enhance ever since. Probably like 4 or 5 years now that I've been playing just straight up Enhance on this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down some of these changes. I realize you could just read the patch notes and find out a lot of the changes that have happened, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down some of the changes, maybe bring you up to speed if you haven't read the patch notes, and then I'm going to give you my opinions on how I think this might affect Enhancement Shaman gameplay in the future. It's important to note that the expansion has not been released as of this recording, so we're looking at it strictly at level 90, so things can definitely change. So let's jump in and get started. Oh hey, this was kind of cool, but as soon as I hopped on my guy, this popped up. Alright, well let's get started. First things we're going to look at, let's make this short and sweet. First things we're going to look at, Earth Shock is gone. You can still use it as Elemental, but you can no longer use it on Enhance. Earth Shock is gone. Healing Tide Totem is gone. You can use that as Resto, but you can no longer use that as Enhance either. They completely removed Stormlash Totem from the game, which was a 5-minute cooldown. It wasn't useless, but it wasn't something that you really remembered to use very often. So they removed some of the things that you don't really use that often. Anyways, they weren't useless, but compared to other options, they weren't the best. Ascendance has changed. Ascendance does not hit as hard as it used to. It still has the range effect, and it still has somewhat burst, but if you remember, Ascendance used to, for an Enhance, used to turn all of your it used to turn Storm Strike and your melee, your auto attacks into pure nature damage. So if you stacked Mastery like you should have, Ascendance hit like a truck. And honestly, I loved Enhance in Mist of Pandaria, probably the most out of any expansion so far, simply because of the raw burst that we had. Ascendance, it does hit hard, but it doesn't have the burst that it used to. Now, instead of using pure nature damage, it turns Storm Strike and your auto attacks into wind attacks, bypassing armor. Another thing we need to touch on is the fact that across the board, crowd control has been nerfed. So now, instead of, for example, if you were feared, it would be an 8-second fear, and then if you were to be feared again immediately afterwards, it'd be a 5 or 6 second fear. There was diminishing returns for that specific crowd control, but if I hexed you, it would be an 8-second hex. Now, it would be an 8-second fear, and then a 5 or 6 second hex. Diminishing returns just goes across the board for crowd control. It's going to make crowd control very interesting. Now, as Enhanced, we didn't really have very much crowd control as it was, but we had a slight nerf to ours. You can no longer instant cast Hex, no matter what. You can have Maelstrom procs, you can use Ancestral Swiftness, you cannot instant cast Hex. You have to stand and cast it. Another thing you'll notice, if you look up to the upper right, you will see my lightning shield, but you will see there are no weapon imbue symbols anymore. That's because they got rid of them. Here, enhanced weapons. It's a passive ability now, as you can see. You no longer have to apply. Another thing that changed is Flurry. It changed slightly. What it used to do would be it would stack, and you would have 5 stacks. I think it used to increase haste by like 15%. Now, as you can see, your melee haste effects lower the cooldown and global cooldown of your Storm Strike, Lava Lash, Shocks, blah blah blah. So basically what Flurry does is it allows haste to decrease the global cooldowns of Storm Strike and Lava Lash. Another passive change is this Lightning Strikes here. You gain 5% more of the haste stat from all sources. So that wasn't there before. I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that haste is going to be probably a very important secondary or third stat. I still feel like obviously agility is going to be number one. Mastery is probably going to be number two, and I'm guessing haste is probably going to be the third stat priority, as you can kind of see from the theme here. So that's going to make things a little more interesting as well. We're going to take a look at the talent trees here. Most things stayed the same, but there are a few things that changed. Ancestral Swiftness, for example. The haste that the passive haste that you get from Ancestral Swiftness is not as much as it used to be. And again, you can still use the instant cast, but you can't use it for Hex anymore. So it kind of limits the use of that. As you can see, I'm using Echo of the Elements. You might be thinking, man, that talent nobody could use, not elemental, enhanced, nobody. But it's changed and it's made things very interesting, and I'll show you why. Your spells and abilities have a chance to cause your next Lava Lash, Storm Strike, or Fire Nova to not incur its cooldown. And it procs pretty often when you use it. This means I can use Storm Strike, and if that procs, I can immediately use another Storm Strike. Let's see if it does it. There we go. Lava Lash, Lava Lash. See that right there? So I guess it wasn't Storm Strike, but you get the drift. And see, it procs pretty often. I mean, I barely used that test dummy, and it proc twice. So it's making things very interesting, and with the sort of nerf on burst that we have, this could be very useful. Ancestral Guidance. Now, I know this can be a little bit debatable because I would see a lot of top-ranked, threes Enhancement Shamans using Rushing Streams, and I see the reason for it. You know, it helps put a little bit of healing pressure away from the healer. It's just nice passive heals. I tended to prefer Ancestral Guidance because it was such a burst, and it was a nice burst heal, and it was something that Enhanced Shamans lack compared to other classes. It used to be 40% of all direct damage and 60% of healing. Now it's just 20% of both across the board. So the burst heals that you get from this has been greatly nerfed. I'm still going to stick with it for now. We'll see how it goes, but you will not get the full health heals that you used to get when you use this. And lastly, as you can see, I'm using Unleashed Flurry, or Unleashed Fury. Elemental Blast in Mist of Pandaria hit hard. It hit like a truck. Now, it still hits hard, but Lightning Bolt, Lightning Bolt hits pretty much just as hard. And when you spec in Unleashed Fury, it increases the damage of your Lightning Bolt by 30%, and it actually makes Lightning Bolt hit harder than Elemental Blast. So, at the moment, I'm going to be sticking with Unleashed Fury. We'll see if that changes once we get to level 100. But for now, and you also get this nice 5% multi-strike increase. I don't know how well that's going to work out because I'm not positive exactly how well multi-strike is going to be. But we'll see. Right now I'm taking this talent over Elemental Blast because, honestly, Lightning Bolt hits harder. We're not going to go over the glyphs because there are a lot of new glyphs. As you can see, there are a lot of new glyphs, and I'm not going to go through every single one of these. Those probably won't mean very much until level 100 anyways. So those are the main Enhancement Shaman changes that I have noticed. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We're going to have to wait till level 100.